Hi everyone, this is Abhinav from PhoneBunch and today we are comparing the Redmi 2 with the Lenovo A6000. First, let's get the specs out of the way. So both of these feature the Snapdragon 410 quad-core processor clocked at 1.2 GHz, Adreno 306 GPU, 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB ROM, 8 megapixel rear camera, 2 megapixel front cameras, running Android 4.4.4 KitKat. Both support 64-bit processing as well as 4G LTE. Now for the dissimilarities, the Redmi 2 has a smaller 4.7-inch HD IPS display clad in Asahi Dragon Trail glass, while the Lenovo A6000 has a 5-inch HD IPS display, but there is no protection over it. You also have a smaller 2200 mAh battery on the Redmi 2 and a slightly larger 23 mAh battery on the Lenovo A6000. The Redmi 2 is slightly thicker at 9.4mm compared to 8.2 of the Lenovo A6000. It's slightly heavier too at 133 grams compared to 128 grams of the Lenovo A6000. Now with that, let's come to the build of the device. You can see the top has a bit of difference there. You have the micro USB port up top on the Lenovo A6000. Now both the power lock and unlock button as well as the volume rocker are on the right, and on both the phones they are sturdy and offer good feedback and travel. You have space to open the back cover on both at the same side. At the bottom you have the primary microphone on both of the devices. Moving to the left, there's nothing. At the back you have the 8 megapixel cameras, LED flash and secondary noise cancellation mic on both, along with the company's branding on both as well. Now on the Lenovo A6000 you have dual speakers at the bottom with Dolby branding, while the Redmi 2 has a single speaker to the right of the camera module. Now both devices have a matte finish on the back cover, but the Redmi 2 feels better to hold. The rounded sides definitely help and it feels more premium. Now coming to the insides, you can see micro SD card slots on both as well as 2 micro SIM card slots along with the battery compartment. The Redmi 2 can use 4G SIM cards on either of its SIM card slots, while the Lenovo A6000 can only use it in the first SIM card slot. So the Redmi 2 definitely wins in this department. Coming to the front, you have 2 megapixel camera right up along with proximity and light sensors, main earpiece. At the bottom you have capacitive buttons on both and they don't light up on either of the devices. Now you do have a notification LED on the Redmi 2 just below the home button. You can also see the free RAM, it's a bit less on the Redmi 2. Now coming to the front, you have 4.7-inch display clad in Asahi Dragon Trail glass on the Redmi 2, while the Lenovo A6000 has a 5-inch HD IPS display. But both have good color reproduction and very wide viewing angles. Now there is a bit of backlight bleed on the Lenovo A6000 from the top and bottom, but color saturation is good on both of these devices. The Redmi 2's display seems a bit sharper due to its higher pixel density. Now both displays have excellent color reproduction apart from one thing. The Lenovo A6000 shows white colors with a slight bluish hue. You can see that in this 1080p video playback, which is actually very smooth and flawless. Now let's launch the camera app. Let's see which one will launch faster. The Redmi 2 wins here. Now coming to features of the camera, you have HDR, handheld twilight mode and several filters and scene modes available on the Redmi 2. Now there are scene modes available on the Lenovo A6000 as well, but they are just a bit difficult to use. The UI of the Redmi 2 is definitely a winner here. It's easier to use, it's simply more refined. Now if we compare the camera samples, the first thing you will notice that the colors from the Lenovo A6000 just seem a bit undersaturated. Now images are a bit underexposed as well from the Lenovo A6000, while the colors are a bit warmer on the Redmi 2. So there is a bit of trade-off between a bit oversaturated and undersaturated, underexposed images. So the Redmi 2 definitely wins here. You can clearly see in this 100% crop of the image earlier, more details from the Redmi 2. The Redmi 2 images definitely feel more punchier, but it's not without flaws. Sometimes it overexposes images. You can see that here. Brighter colors, especially yellow, has a tendency to get overexposed on the Redmi 2. But the Lenovo A6000 actually is better at autofocus. It focuses in quicker. You can see that here. The Redmi 2 does take a little bit more time. Now this is 720p video samples from both of the devices. The colors as well as contrast on the Redmi 2 is far better. Although we are comparing 720p samples, the Redmi 2 can actually record in 1080p. So the Lenovo A6000 has dual speakers at the bottom with Dolby certification, which sound very good, but actually they do tend to crackle at full volume. The Redmi 2 on the other hand has a single speaker up top I actually feel it sounds better than the Lenovo A6000. It has a hint of bass in it as well. Now coming to the software, both are running Android 4.4.4 KitKat, but the Redmi 2 runs on MIUI 6, while the Lenovo A6000 runs on Vibe UI 2.0. Now Vibe UI is no match when it comes to the refinement you see on MIUI 6. It's almost completely different from stock Android, but the things in it are actually lot usable. I can see the notification drawers on both of these. You can expand the notifications on the Lenovo A6000 as well. Now let's get into settings. Again, you see a difference in white colors, bluish tones on the Lenovo A6000. Now getting into about, you can see both are running Android 4.4.4 KitKat and both will be upgraded to Lollipop sometime soon. Now out of that 8 gig ROM, you have about 4.3 to 4.5 gigs available on both of these devices. You can expand that up to 32 gigs with a micro SD card. Now apps as well as app data are not movable on the Redmi 2, but you can do that on the Lenovo A6000. But the Redmi 2 supports USB OTG while the Lenovo A6000 doesn't. Now there are some interesting features in MIUI. Long tapping on the home button. When you are on the lock screen, just starts your torch. Now Vibe UI does seem to be a bit inspired from MIUI 5 actually, but has one cool feature. You can swipe through your wallpapers on the home screen by just swiping from the top left or right corners. But when it comes to customization, Vibe UI is no match for MIUI. You can simply go ahead and choose from thousands of themes that are available. Now let's talk about web browsing. So you can see the Lenovo A6000 was slightly faster in loading up Chrome and our website. Now scrolling is smooth on both of these devices, but pinch to zoom is far more fluid on the Redmi 2, and that's more due to the front glass than anything else. The touchscreen on the Lenovo A6000 isn't as responsive as it is on the Redmi 2, and you can also see the slightly bluish tone of whites on the Redmi 2. Both of them at present are at 100% brightness. Now if we talk of RAM management, you'll be able to see that the Redmi 2 actually kills tasks much quicker than the Lenovo A6000. It uses a more aggressive garbage collection policy. Now I'm just opening up different tasks and you can see that the Lenovo A6000 is slightly faster in almost all of these. Now that's definitely due to MIUI's animations. The Vibe UI doesn't have those many animations, and you can see here too that the last task that I ran actually reloaded. So garbage collection is actually pretty aggressive this time around on the Redmi 2. So that actually prevents any app crashes and you get more free RAM for playing games and such. Both phones actually played games quite well, but I did have a few crashes of apps and games on the Lenovo A6000, which I didn't have with the Redmi 2. Now let's talk about battery life. So even with a smaller 2200 mAh battery, the Redmi 2 is actually able to give slightly better battery life. I was able to get through more than a day with the Redmi 2 with average use, which included a bit of gaming, quite a bit of web browsing, a few calls here and there. Now the Lenovo A6000 is no slouch either. With both phones you would be able to get through a day easily. Now if you are a very heavy user, you would have to charge the phone overnight, but that too after you reach home. So now let's wrap up. Both the Redmi 2 and Lenovo A6000 run on Android 4.4.4 KitKat but are vastly different from each other. MIUI is more refined, easier to use and far more customizable. The Redmi 2 might not be a clear winner in our comparison, but definitely edges out with better software and in some aspects better hardware as well. But for ₹6,999 you really can't go wrong with either of these devices. The Redmi 2 however stands out with better software, better cameras and better build quality as well. We'll be back with more. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Any questions, let us in the comment section. Thanks for watching and as always, have a great day.